So, we're here again at the end of the month, and as music teachers, it's super hard to stay abreast of everything that's happened over a month in the space of music education. So, this is us trying to summarize what we've consumed, but also the major things that are happening in our local music education space as well. So, we hope that today you might see something, or we might discuss something that makes you think, geez, I'd like to incorporate that into my classroom, or just makes a light bulb moment go off. That's the spirit of today. And just a chance for us, me and Brad, to have a bit of fun talking about music and music education as well. So hi, I'm Pete Orenstein, and this is Brad Fuller. We'd like to welcome you back
Hello.
to our channel. Hi, Brad. And we've been thinking about our mission statement, and we think it's this. We're taking the academic space and putting it into practice in the classroom, but with a bit of pizzazz. Is that right, Brad?
Yeah, a bit of razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it.
Yeah.
If you've been here with us for the last, I think we've been going for 2 months, Brad, or maybe even 10 episodes.
Have
We
we?
should have a little birthday cake or something when we hit a certain amount.
Yeah.
Maybe 52. That would be appropriate. But we this is our space to talk about technological, pedagogical, and content knowledge, also known as the TPAC framework. And each week we choose
I
one,
have.
and this is our stool of knowledge. So
I
we
have
didn't
it.
spin it. We didn't spin it last week because it's a bit of a summary this week. We're going to cover all
Well,
three sections.
it's only got 3 legs, right? But there's like 4 weeks in a month, so I figure kind of fourth week is that's what this is all about today.
Yeah, bringing it all together. Cool. So I don't have much for technological, other than that last month we talked about SoundCheck and Noteflight, and recently Hal Leonard and Noteflight had a summit, which we didn't attend, but we got some emails and some recordings. And so in the show notes today, we'll link a video to about an hour long webinar on SoundCheck and how it integrates with Noteflight. I watched it just this morning. And if you don't know about Noteflight, the first half's about Noteflight. But if you know about Noteflight, just skip to halfway through and it gets straight into how SoundCheck works. So that's just a little note about that. And then the big thing that I messaged, it must have been 3 weeks ago, I messaged Brad. I was like, oh, this solves the whole problem of, hey kids, can you just pass me back the originals? Do you remember that text, Brad?
Yes. Yes. It was good text.
So what that feature was in Noteflight is say if you purchase a score, you can say, give me 50 authorized copies, and you can actually add in users via Noteflight. So you can just go John Smith, Sally, blah, blah, gets a copy. That's
Jones.
fully authorized, and you don't have to say, can you give me back the originals? Because the originals are just taken care of, which is pretty cool,
Wow.
I thought.
And plus, you don't have to have that conversation, that fight with your band director about, but we have to give them originals. No, don't give them originals. They'll
Mm.
lose them. All that stuff. Oh man, Pete, that's such. People might not know the pain, but
Yeah.
oh boy. Interestingly, the Ride Civic Centre was demolished recently, and that was the scene of one of, speaking of this, Noteflight solving problems. I once drove from Sydney's fabulous sunny northern beaches to the Ride Civic Centre and met the ensemble director and said, all right, let's hand out the sheet music. And he said, aren't you handing out the sheet music? And I
Yes.
said, no, pretty sure that was you. And that's the time I drove back to Sydney's sunny northern beaches from Ride Civic Centre. So ever since then, that was like, it's like 20 years ago. Ever since then, I would drive past and go, that was the time. Anyway, it's kind of like the Manly Warringah Sea Eagles running late to the preliminary final and then losing. So
Yes.
when I see stuff like this about, there's just so much time. And Pete, our one of our maxims is music at the speed of thought.
Mm.
And I just it does my head in the amount of time lost in large ensembles with setting up the stuff. Why haven't the percussionists set up the percussion section? Let's get the seats out and the music stands, and then
Yeah.
let's hand out the charts. Oh man, this is so much closer to music at the speed of thought. So I think it's a really exciting development.
Yeah, and depending on your tech, I imagine you could distribute, like step one would be distribute via Noteflight accounts, and kids can do whatever they want. They can edit it, they can print it off if they would like, or they can view it on their tablet as well. So, and if you're lucky enough to have a set of tablets for your ensemble, like the Australian ensemble does, then you can set up all sorts of things with page turns and like distributing. That's just really slick and easy. So there's a whole world
Yeah,
out
and
there
I
to get
think
into.
it's a great opportunity too, given that most of these large ensembles, and of course it's not just for large ensembles, it's for any size ensemble, an ensemble of one. But given that a lot of the large ensembles happen before and after school, there's oftentimes iPads sitting around in schools before and after school. So
That's true.
there's quite possibly a trolley somewhere in the school that has yet to be implemented. So that
Yeah.
could be something to check out as well. Speaking of iPads, though, Pete, OMG, I just got off the phone with my mum, and my mum is really excited to have a new iPad, thanks to Steve Jobs, RIP. The new iPads are out, and $4.99 Australian, I think.
So
For
good.
I think it's got the A13 Bionic chip,
Okay. Yeah.
and just has lots and lots of bells and whistles, and is really, really cool. Operates I think two things for educators to be aware of in the Apple sphere. Well, actually three. So the new cheap iPad, cheaper. Well, I mean, $4.99. It's incredible. Well, that's an incredible price.
Yeah.
$4.99 gets you in the game. It's a beautiful piece of equipment. I think the iPad Mini has been massively updated and is something I don't know where it fits for music education. Be interesting to see if anybody thinks there's a use case for it. A lot of YouTube
Yeah.
people are really excited about it. And then I think the new iPhones are really cameras, aren't they? I think for the last little while, it's been more the iCamera, and you can make calls and do other tasks on your camera. I think that's where we're at. It's a video camera
Well, the
slash
Pro.
still camera.
The Pro, I think
Yeah,
the other ones not so much, but the Pro, they've definitely, like in the Keynote, I mean, that's a
Yep.
massive thing that happened this month. The Keynote talked about changing cinematography. I was like, that's a big call with their cinematic mode. That's only
yeah,
in the Pro model.
yeah, yeah. So I think there's three pieces of hardware. The bottom of the range iPad, I think, is wonderful. I think it comes stock at 64 gigabytes of storage. Last time I just checked my iPad, and I'm in the 20 odds or something. Maybe I'm hitting 30. So heaps of room in a classroom situation where you can utilize the cloud and all sorts of stuff like that. I think really interesting. The iPad Mini, and I think for content creators, for teachers in the classroom to be able to take footage and photos and stuff and get it up into the cloud from your phone might be. So if you're due for a phone upgrade, maybe that's something for you. But the most important thing for all of us, for free, we don't have to spend any money. We can upgrade to iPadOS 15 and iOS 15 just by, well, in brackets, as long as you've got enough space on your phone
Yeah.
to do it. And so, Pete, any standouts for you on the upgraded iOS?
iOS,
That might be of interest.
I've only had it for, well, it's only been out a week or something.
Yep.
So I haven't really attacked it from the point of view of affordances in the classroom. Other than I'm just getting used to the new browser and tabs and stuff. Something that
Okay.
really interests me, and something we've talked about for a number of years, is how to use devices for good, not evil. So I think
Yes.
the new focus mode is interesting, and I'm keen to explore that
Wow.
further.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Uh, bit of a yawn, I reckon. Actually, this one,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's been good. I mean, it's a good thing, right? Like for a long time, people who have watched us a bit know that I just lie in bed at night, sending out vibes to the universe. Dear universe, here are the following problems I believe could be fixed if you fixed your technology. Could you just invent the following things?
Yeah.
And I don't really do that with iPads and iPhones anymore. I used to be in line as soon as the new model would be released, ever since iPad 2 and iPhone 3GS, right through until iPhone 8. I would line up and just go, I've got to have it immediately. I've got problems to solve. And
Yeah.
and I'd race home and go, yes, life's a little bit better. But since I guess the iPhone 8 and whatever the iOS was around that time, it's been doing the job for me. And so,
Yeah.
but I think, okay, so, but if so I think that focus thing, we might just have a look at it in a TPAC Tuesday to come, Pete. But I just really, I think for a long time now, as Apple's have been, or any company updates their software, they actually make it better. And I think it's a real shame when we continue to use our phone as if it had the old OS, but it's got the new OS, and things are slicker, but we're just locked into our old ways. So I'll just say to people, it's a new OS. Just jump in and jump on YouTube and go, what are the top 7 things that I could change about the way I use my device? And I would say that the multitasking on the iPad is something that we should be checking out because it has been tweaked up a little bit. And maybe widgets are something that you could have a heads-up display in your classroom as you're walking around, and you could check your iPad and go, cool, that's right, I have to remember to stop this lesson and start the next one, which has always been a thing for me. So there you go, couple of Apple things.
Very good. Well, let's move on to pedagogical knowledge. So I thought we'd just talk about ASME conference, seeing as it's starting tomorrow. And we've got 3 items across us both.
Whoa.
So I believe, unless you're hiding one from me, but so the Australian Society of Music Education, what's that? The 13th National Conference, if I can still read Roman numerals.
Yes.
And it's virtual, obviously, so you can access live presentations via Zoom and question and answer forums, as well as pre-recorded material that's just sitting on, pretty sure, a Google site for the next 6 months. So we're signing up and just over the next 6 months consuming a whole bunch of great content, I hope. We'll see what happens. But in terms of what we're doing, we've got 3. First up is something that we've done together, which is all about the gig, reimagining project-based learning and authentic assessment in the secondary music classroom. So that's a 30-minute video that we prepared over the last couple of weeks. And it's all about a gig. It's all about the gig. It's one of our key maxims or foundation principles based upon Ken Siegel's book Think Simple, which Brad introduced to me a while back and changed my life. So speaking of Apple, who is Ken Siegel, Brad, really quickly?
Oh yeah, so
Players at home.
well, he's a friend. He was friends with Steve Jobs, and they worked together. And so lots. Yeah, there you go. So think different. So I guess the book title Think Simple is a nod to Steve Jobs's Think Different, which I think he and Ken worked on together. So it has a Steve Jobs connection. We've never actually talked in gig-based learning about my fanboy of Steve Jobs, fanboyness, but
we'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, we probably need a couple of months worth of TPAC Tuesdays to just unpack what an influence he's been.
Yeah, massive. All right, and then your one on your own, Brad. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this, and I'm really nervous because, I'm taking a pretty big swing here against Gladys. So there's a document called What Works Best 2020 Update, and it pretty much bashed me over the head, and you too, Pete. And so when I first was introduced by some bosses to what works best, I was thinking about it, Pete, the other day. I think it's one of the few times in my life where my spider senses went off, and I felt a ripple in the force at the same time, and maybe gave me vertigo. It was such a moment in time where I thought, there's something about this what works best. And I've been studying deep. I've been deep into philosophy and what is truth and all that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, somebody makes this empirical statement: "This is what works best," and I just went, "Oh no!" And I wasn't in a place where I didn't have a strong enough foundation at that time to say. Well, all I had was, wait a second, my spider senses are going off. I can feel a ripple in the force, and this kind of feels like a bit of a dark side thing going on. And I could just hear a faint leitmotif in the background. Dun, 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 dun. But I didn't have... and so I immediately got really concerned for music educators who, when somebody says, when a boss comes to you and says, "This is what works," and you go, whoa, spider senses, warning. I got concerned for all of us that we didn't know enough. And so for us as GBLers, Pete, we have to have a built-in shockproof. We have to have our built-in shockproof crap detector going all the time. And so my built-in shockproof crap detector just went off when I heard this, and I thought, it's my job to not take this what works best prima facie. And so rather than what works best full stop, I put a question mark on the end. Is this what works best? And so I think there's a much more appropriate stance or standpoint for a music educator is to be what works best question mark than what works best full stop. I can take my thinking cap off, and I'll just be a robot, thank you, and do what the man says. That's not the GBL way. So I've taken the last... this is really heavy, man. I've taken the last 12 months. So one of the bosses said, "Can you go... if anyone's got a problem with this, just tell us." And I went, okay. So for the last 12 months, I've been going, I think I've got a problem with this. And even if I didn't, what do I have a problem with it? And so that's what this is all about. So I wanted to save you guys 12 months worth of work, but don't take to put your crap detectors on and have a listen to what I've got to say, what I've been reading about and wrestling with for the last 12 months. Is it? I'm just putting a question mark on there for all of us, so we just don't adopt it prima facie. And I'm pretty excited because I made a video for ASME, but for our gig-based learning community, I've got the editor's cut. And so I actually did a 45-minute rant that I've broken up into chapters.
Whoa.
And so we're going to post it for you guys. I'll do a little introduction about my journey and how it took me 12 months to get to this point. 12 months every day going, is this what works best? Is it
Wow.
best? And so I'm just about to publish a new paper, which is pretty exciting. Just talking, it's a 6,000 word paper looking at pages 2 to 4. How about that? So
Can we get the radio edit of that, please?
Yeah, so I'll give you a heads up on that. So there you go. At what works best? Question mark. It's and so
Yeah, cool.
I guess it comes down to, are we GBLers or are we automatons that just went? Like this document. It comes from Gladys. Gladys says to her department, "Hey, can you guys put this document out and tell the teachers what to do?" And, well, it's just our job as GBLers to go, "Oh, that's good, Gladys, but I'll just put some professional judgment in here between you and my students, and we'll see what's going on." So there you go. But gee whiz, guys,
Nice. Look,
it's a big deal, Pete. It's a big deal.
Mm. Yeah,
when
I'm
we're
looking forward to
given.
it.
Yeah, can't wait to share it with you all. And I think but I'm really a bit scared about what if anybody watches it. And in brackets, guys, the scholarship's a bit hairy still. I've got another 10 years or so of working through this. I'm just at the beginning of it, but I hope you can come on a journey with me, and maybe we can work some stuff out together.
I'm scared for you, but I'm on your sinking ship, so oh well.
Yeah,
We'll see what
yeah,
happens.
yep.
Speaking of ships that have been sunk for a while, Hot Potato Bed hasn't had a gig for a long time. Thank you, pandemic. But we're coming out strong, hopefully. So, if you don't know, I'm in Hot Potato Band, brass band collective in Australia, touring band, and we recently kind of rejigged our focus a little bit to focus on some workshops in the schools, sort of post 2020 lockdown. And so this is a 50-minute video that we've put together, basically outlining our history as a band and how we're gonna hopefully transform band programs, particularly focused on wind ensembles. So this is our sort of summary of how we're going to do that and what we do best, which is bring life into concert band music. And we're really excited about just talking to music educators because we're just a bunch of musos, really. So the guys are pretty excited to see what music educators think about what we do. And hopefully we can get some gigs around the country and get into the cracks of Australia. That's the goal.
Nice, Pete.
All right, so let's bring it home with some
Okay.
content. So me and Brad have a shared YouTube account, and I just look through the history and whack every single video pretty much that we've watched into this space. And there's a lot here, Brad. So maybe just looking at lists, do you want to point out something that changed your life this month?
Yeah. Well, I think the Michael Brecker solo
Yeah,
on
I was
Pick Up the
hoping you were going to say
Pieces
that. Yeah,
is pretty much everything we need to know about life, the universe. Forget about music. It so far transcends just the notion of music as notes and stuff.
yeah,
Uh, it's just it's just life. It's the constitution and it's the vibe.
yeah.
It's fully sick. So there was that one. And oh Pete, would you mind just bring up
Yeah, sorry, my
that
computer
list?
just farted
Uh,
out. Let's
yeah, right.
I'm so excited for the next
So
Apple keynote, guys. Next news
oh
spot,
man,
hopefully I can talk about my new computer.
yeah. So the Michael Brecker solo, I think it's everything we need to know. You just, I think you could just put it on, and let your students watch it, and they would go away knowing
Yeah,
everything they need to know about music. You wouldn't need to
yeah,
say
cool.
anything. Uh,
I think I listened
I
to it in the
think,
car and was like, yes. Nola, my toddler, loved it.
yeah. And then the Bruno Mars thing is just wonderful. I
Yeah,
think what Bruno Mars is doing is incredible. And then I really love the Jazz Pianist Reacts videos. I'm not sure if if we've got so you watch
no,
Bruno
I
and you
did put
go,
them in because I was like, that's classic.
yeah. So is that the one where the guy breaks it down and says, "This is check out this harmony."
Yeah,
Um, I think that's a really great way to teach music. Start from something that's fresh and hip. And I just really love the way he just sits at his instrument. He's at his instrument, and he's excited about the music, and he says, "Check this out! Whoa, a D sus! Who would have put a D sus there?" I think it's
yeah,
D sus 13 blows his mind. Such an awesome chord, and the way they use it. So there's some stuff going on with that Bruno Mars, Anderson Park collab. I think the last two tracks have just been complete bangers,
yeah,
and there's so much material that our students will love, but lots and lots of material to talk about, and some interesting cultural stuff too, Pete. I think there's loads in that skate song from that could just be provocations for discussion, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And the first one as well. I think the execution of it is particularly good. Which, yeah, I think that helps.
I would really love to do to have a chat about. This is from one of my down there a little bit, Pete. The Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra comes from. It's had a bazillion views, and it's from one of my students at the con. Did it for a tech project, the technology and music education subject, I think, and it's just gone. It's been really well used, which is great. But something that's really interesting is to read the comments and see what the kids are saying about it. It's a cack. It's just a cack.
Hang on, let's bring that up.
I think, I'd love to do a bit on it, Pete, in a bit more detail. But this just reminds me, Pete, of that thing that we talk about all the time. Oftentimes in the past,
in order to show you
finish a lesson, we'd be like, "Yeah, man."
How a big symphony orchestra is put together. Benjamin Britten has written a big piece of music, which is made up of...
So, Pete, check it out. Louise Wilson. It's like 78,000 views. Nice. Yeah. 96 dislikes. Right?
Always. It really expanded my knowledge.
Yep. And there's one of these ones... such a great video. Love this. So you can see the teachers are digging it. They go, "Whoa, this is a great resource for the kids." And then check that one out. Is anyone else watching this for school? And then 19 replies, "Yeah, my teacher made us watch it." Same, yeah. I'm watching it for school. And then at some point down there, I think we'll have to check it out.
I feel like our teachers just get the same work.
100%.
It's true.
Awesome.
It's so true. Instruments of the orchestra. Music Education 101.
So the teachers are loving it, and the kids are going, and I'm sure the kids are too, right? But isn't that a beautiful thing? Are you here for school? Yeah, I'm here for school. Me too. Wait a second. The teachers are all using the same video. We're onto them. Man,
yeah, it's pretty funny.
You gotta love kids. Is that it, Pete?
I'm just getting a nice big call. There you go.
Yeah. Right, I thought that might have been... Yeah, who else is here for school? Isn't that beautiful? It's just so funny.
Man, that's fascinating.
Yep.
Fascinating.
It's always fascinating, which brings us back to just because it's different. Jobs to be done theory, Pete, right?
Yeah.
What are we hiring that video to do? And what when you see the teachers, this is incredible. And it is. It's beautiful work. It's just beautiful. But what do I know? I'm an adult. I'm a music teacher. Of course I dig it. And the question is, what's in it for the kids, and so jobs to be done theory, which we talk about in other places, just says that what we think kids are hiring school to do and what they're actually hiring school to do are not always the same. So there's a beautiful resource from Louise, and also some really interesting food for thought in the comments. Speaking of food for thought, I think the Bill Bruford interview, he was a prog rocker back in the 70s and 80s, drummer, and he's very interesting. I think if you were to watch him, you'd find him very interesting. He talks about being a player, and I don't know if everybody knows about players. So if you come from a Western art music background, well, everybody's a player, so you don't really think about it that way. And then there's jazz musicians, and then in the middle, there's this other thing. And people who don't play Western art music and don't exclusively play jazz, in the middle there's all sorts of epistemologies and ontologies. And one of them is, I don't play Western art music or jazz, but I'm a cat, and I take it very seriously. and those sorts of musicians identify themselves as players, and so Bill Bruford talks about what it's like to be a player, and
cool.
I think that's really interesting. Plenty more, and well, I don't know if we should just mark Charlie Watts' passing. Charlie Watts, the great drummer,
think so,
from the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Pete, we reference him in our ASME.
This should go in the pedagogy section.
Yeah.
Because we base one of our stations, so we run a station rotation model of blended learning, and the green room is where people come in to sit and relax and socialize / do some online work, and it's based upon Charlie Watts' comment, 90% of being a musician is waiting. So it's wrong section, Brad.
We should memorialize it should be the Charlie Watts green room, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right. Put it on the list. And
R.I.P.
special mention to 2021 NFL kickoff national anthem with Corey Henry. Boom.
Yeah.
Take that.
Just really quickly, what do you make of it?
I think it's interesting given the racial tensions of the last couple of years in NFL. Yeah, I thought he wouldn't have done it if I had to guess, but just because he's massive for that whole scene. But what do you think?
I was just unprepared for the style, the way they presented it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's just important, it's just important to be up with NFL anthems.
Yeah.
Just keep abreast of and of course the measure is always, does it stand up to Bleeding Gums Murphy from The Simpsons, who, in my view, gave us the best Star Spangled Banner ever. If you haven't, everyone's seen Bleeding Gums sing Star Spangled Banner surely by now.
Yeah, for sure.
Possibly the greatest performance by anyone ever.
We'll link that in.
Yeah, so
for the content
jeepers, heaps there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Just in that YouTube list, enough. I reckon you get about a term's worth if you just brought that into your classroom.
Yeah,
there's about a term's worth right across the board, right from instruments of the orchestra through to Corey Henry at the NFL. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. Huge. All right. Well, we hope you found that helpful, and we'll summarize October when it comes around. And other than that, we need to work out what we're doing next week for the live stream. So, Brad, can you spin the stool of knowledge, please?
I'll spin the... All right, I'm getting very strong feeling.
I'm still waiting for the Lady Susan, please.
Yeah.
I've got to pressure you publicly into getting in Lady Susan.
It's good for the guns, though. I'm getting feeling a lot of tension in my left gun. So, Pete, it's that one.
It's definitely not technological.
No.
It must be content.
There you go. The stool has spoken.
Yeah.
And we must obey. So content next Paak Tuesday.
Yep. But
cool.
Maybe I read it wrong, and it makes more sense to do pedagogical, given we're going to be in a conference all week.
Oh yeah. Hang on.
Did I read it wrong? Hang on. Oh yeah.
I think you read it wrong.
Pedagogical. Not biased.
Yeah.
No, all right, guys.
The stool must be... You have to adhere to the stool, Pete. Come on.
Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'll fall into line.